Welcome, everyone. My name is Will Moss with HBCU Connect. I'm a CEO of HBCU Connect, and I'm going to be your moderator for this evening or this afternoon's event, depending on where you're logged in from. All right. One of the first things I like to do at our events is go over the agenda so we can set expectations. First, I'm going to do a brief welcome for myself, give you a little bit of background on HBCU Connect, why we do these events, also a little bit of background on our partnership with JPMorgan Chase, and also the opportunity for you this evening. You're in the right place at the right time if you come to learn about opportunities and take advantage. Then I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, who's Ed Alevi, President Chase Co-Brand Cards. And Ed is going to give our keynote, give a little bit of his background, what he does currently at Chase, and a little bit about his organization. Then I'm going to introduce you to our panelists. So it's going to be Meet the Team. So I want to introduce each panelist, give them 3 to 5 minutes to introduce themselves, who they are, their path to Chase, what they currently do at Chase. And then after you have that context on who our panelists are and who's speaking, then we'll go into sort of a brief Q&A and panel discussion, where I'll ask a few questions that I prepared sort of as a candidate advocate on your behalf. And then once that's finished up, then you'll have the opportunity to go into the breakout sessions, which we're going to do alphabetically by last name in groups. We have 4 different breakout sessions so that we can break up this larger group into smaller, more intimate groups so that you can have some discussions, ask some questions, engage, and prepare for a potential interview with Chase. All right. So after those breakout sessions, we'll come back to the main event, and then we'll talk about next steps briefly, and then what you can expect if you'd like to land an interview with Chase. So we're super excited to go ahead and start the event. And let me do a quick introduction of myself. Like I said, my name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO of HBCU Connect. We've been working with Chase for at least 10 years now. Initially, we started out helping JPMorgan Chase connect HBCU students with a broad range of opportunities that they have for internships for students, hiring students after graduation, bringing in special programs for HBCU students to learn more about the firm. And we started to engage on that, had a lot of success bringing in HBCU students to that. And then we started to expand into connecting JPMorgan Chase in different parts of the business with HBCU alumni and professionals. What sort of leads us up to our event this evening? We started doing events probably around the same time period, about 10 years ago, helping companies connect on a more personal level, to present themselves, to present their opportunities, to hear back from our candidates, to engage, have dialogue, and then have these events lead into hires, right? So when I say you are in the right place at the right time, by you taking the time out to come to this event, you have the opportunity to meet some folks on the Chase team, understand what they're looking for, make sure you have your resume up to date, you share your resume with us, you follow the instructions for potentially landing an interview by applying. And then the hope from this event is that lots of folks from this event actually get hired, land interviews, get offers, and we have some success stories. All right, so that's the opportunity for you this evening. It's not just a branding event. Of course, you're going to learn about Chase, you're going to hear from folks, but this is an opportunity for you to ask questions, engage, and then potentially land an interview, because that's what we want to have happen. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for opening remarks, Ed Alevi, President Chase Co-Brand Cards. So Ed, if you're ready.
Thanks, Will. Let me just add my thanks and welcome to everyone who's attending tonight. I really appreciate it. Let me also add my thanks to HBCU Connect for being such an amazing organization and amazing partner. We really appreciate it, and it's great to see this event tonight. It never ceases to amaze me, like, how many people want to show up, and I'm really pleased to be able to chat about our firm and share what I think is a really special place and a really special set of people. So as Will mentioned, my name is Ed Alevi. I guess my title is President of Co-Branded Credit Cards here at Chase. I lead a team of amazing people, and I'll tell you more about what we do in a moment. I also happen to be our executive sponsor for our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and I'll spend some more time talking about that as well. Really, I have 3 objectives. I'm not going to go through my entire resume and background. You can look me up on LinkedIn or look at this slide here. What I want to cover is a little bit about our business, a little bit about our culture, because I think that's really important and different, and then share a little of my own experience. Hopefully you find it informative. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. Our time is limited, so I'll jump right in. Let's start with the business side of it. So hopefully by now you figured out Chase is the consumer arm of JP Morgan Chase. We have a few different lines of business to include consumer and business banking. Those are the Chase branches you see all over the United States, auto and home lending, wealth management, and of course, card services, which is where I work and the other panelists work. Our mission really is to be the bank for all. And that's kind of a relatively new thing. We are the market leader, but we have a lot more work to do and a lot more room to grow. Chase serves about 50% of US households. And I don't mean to brag, but we are the #1 consumer bank and #1 credit card issuer. It's not about being #1 per se, but in these businesses, scale matters. We invest heavily in technology and operations and digital. We invest heavily to sort of translate that investment into cool features that customers love, great experiences, and really things that others can't match. And so this business, it is good to be big, and really it gives us a competitive advantage. When I talk about the card business, I think you can think about it in two halves. One is what we call our branded business. So you may have heard of some of those products, Chase Sapphire, Chase Freedom, Kevin Hart ads, Ink, and Slate. That's about half of our business. It's an amazing set of products. Really what the team there focus on is not only developing amazing products and services for customers, but also building those brands. And for all of you marketers out there and brand builders out there, a lot of really cool opportunities there. My business is called the co-branded card business. So we have amazing partners, and hopefully you've heard of them. Ones like Amazon, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Marriott. I'm actually here at a Marriott hotel right now at a partner event. Disney, Hyatt, and so many more. I think what distinguishes our co-brand business from brand is really we focus on managing not only customers and great experiences, but also clients. And my team and I spend a lot of time building and maintaining and developing and growing relationships with all these great, amazing brands in their own right, which is a lot of fun. Our purpose is to make customers' lives easier, and make them better with tools that provide purchasing power, working capital, fun rewards and perks. I really do think it's a fun business. People think sometimes banking can be boring. I don't think so at all. We live at the intersection of consumer products, technology, and financial services. So when I say consumer, this is a consumer product. They change. We always do something new and improved. There's an emotional angle to this piece of plastic or metal you're carrying around. And it's fun to understand consumer insights and behaviors and try to appeal to them. This is technology. It's about digital payments. It's about digital experiences. It's a lot of building and evolving of an industry and of commerce. And that makes it fun for those of you who are into tech. And it's financial services. This plays an important role in people's lives. It matters. Imagine your life without a bank account or a credit card. It'd be a lot harder to live. Not impossible, but very difficult these days. And so the career opportunities here really span many areas, including being in the business, being in finance, decision science, operations, design, analytics, you name it, we've got it. Probably the most common roles you'll come across in the business are going to be things like marketing, management, general management, being in product, customer experience. Marketing is a huge part of my team and what we do. We spend a lot of time, some people call it growth or customer acquisition, portfolio marketing. Again, these aren't stale things that you sort of, offer to a customer and then you leave it alone. You want to keep them engaged, you keep them interested, and driving and building engagement is really key to our success. So why don't I pivot a little bit to our culture? This is hopefully for you, if you're interested, not a job, but a career play. I've been at Chase for about 6.5 years, and I've had a number of jobs. I'll walk you through some of them, but mobility is really encouraged. It's not required, but strongly encouraged. I think our belief is that people moving around and cross-pollinating and cross-training makes the people better and makes the business better. From a business perspective, you get new leaders, you get new team members, you get different perspectives, not the same people that have been staring at the same problem for the last 10 years, but cross-pollinating. And they ask natural questions. Why do we do it that way? Why couldn't we try this idea? It just makes for actually sort of challenging what we do and improving it without it feeling like you're being attacked It's more like you're explaining what you're doing to a new friend. From a career perspective, I think it makes it really, spectacular as well, because you get to experience and learn continuously. And again, not that you can't stay in the same job and learn over a career, but I think for many folks, being able to try different lines of business, different functions, different roles in a firm, actually helps them develop new skills, add to their sort of resume, and make it a fundamentally better and more fun experience. So that's really part and parcel to Chase. My own experience, I started in digital. I worked on something called Chase Pay. It no longer exists, but it was fun while we were on it. I worked in digital, supporting several of our lines of business before joining our rewards and benefits team, and then more recently, the co-branded credit card business. I would also describe Chase as a very values-based organization. Some of the most defining values for us, I think, are first, integrity. Kind of hard to be a major financial institution if you don't have integrity. We have a big bias towards execution. Getting S done is sort of, core to being successful here and being happy here. And that's how we operate. It's better to be good than great, and don't let sort of perfection be the enemy of progress. Another core value is authenticity, and I'll talk more about that, and diversity. Diversity in particular, and again, it's kind of awkward in this thing, not in the sense of like, this is a kind of an event sponsored by our DE&I Council, but diversity is really something that I think makes us compete better. We're very competitive. It helps us serve customers better. We have an environment that is inclusive and drives equity. And I think it makes it a place that people want to be, want to stay, and want to develop and have a career in. The authenticity component is about being yourself, right? So one of the things, and I've worked in multiple organizations, but I feel like when I'm at Chase, I'm just Ed. This is me, like it or don't like it. It's not like I'm being the Ed or the person or the employee or the leader that I think the company wants me to be. I'm just being myself, and I have the confidence and comfort to know that it'll work or it won't. So let me just speak a little bit more about that experience. Again, my background, how I got here, and what my experience has been like. And I think one of the slides before said, what is it like to be Black at Chase? And I'll try to address that. I'm a credit card person. I just happen to really love the space. I'm passionate about it. Before I came here, I was at MasterCard and American Express. But the big difference for Chase, I think, was just being myself, and whether I'm Black, whether I'm not Black, doesn't really matter. What I feel is accepted. What I feel is included. I'm in the tent. I'm at the party. I'm dancing, whatever the analogy is. I feel empowered and supported, and I feel like I have a voice here. And I think for many of us, it's important. Sometimes this question comes up, and I'll just say this unequivocally from Jamie Dimon on down. There is zero tolerance for sort of bad behavior or sort of good old boy kind of conduct in JP Morgan Chase, anywhere in this firm. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist anywhere in any corner of the firm. It's, 250,000 people work here, but the message from the top down could not be more clear. It's just not tolerated. In fact, diversity is celebrated in all the dimensions. That said, we are diverse. I look up, I look left and right, I look down, I see plenty of Black people, but it doesn't mean we don't need way more Black people here. We have work to do, and frankly, we're never done. It's not like we're trying to hit a certain number or percentage or something. It's about a feeling, and that's why we're here tonight. We're here because we want to bring in more folks into this tent. We want to get more talent into our firm, and I think the best way to get a feel for us, and that's why I'm so glad you're here, is through our people. And so I'm really excited to welcome my colleagues here. These are three people that I work with nearly every day, if not every day, certainly every week. And I think that you'll enjoy them as much as I do. The point of this and our panel is to give you some of our perspectives, show you who we are, and you can make up your own mind. Are those people I'd like to work with? Is this a place I'd like to be? So that's really what I wanted to hit on. Hopefully I didn't drone on too long. I really just want to say that I'm proud to be here, and I hope you'll learn more about JP Morgan Chase and Chase and card services specifically tonight. I want to thank you for joining. I want to thank my colleagues for spending their time. I hope you'll find it really helpful, and hopefully that you'll find that Chase is a place that you have some interest in and that you'll want to apply for a role here. So with that, why don't I turn it over to our panel presentation?
Thanks, Ed. So Ed, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you at least one question.
You're the best, Will. Go for it.
So let me ask, and this is a simple one, but for you personally and specifically for you, what is it that you like most about working for Chase since you've been there?
People, easy. I spend a crazy number of hours, not because I have to, but because I want to, working. I think we all do. I'm passionate about my career. I'm passionate about my team. And when you're going to spend a lot of time with people, you want to like them. You want to feel proud of them. You want to feel included and supported by them. And so simple answer, most direct answer is people. These are the most interesting, compassionate, intelligent people I've worked with who can get stuff done. It's just a great balance. And so, it just makes it fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So let me be the first to thank you for being our keynote. Once again, we appreciate you and thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into introducing each of our panelists. And then after I've introduced our panelists, then we'll go into a brief panel discussion where I prepared some questions that I'm going to ask our panelists to get to know the Chase culture a little bit better. But let's go ahead and start with Melita Ross, who's the Managing Director and General Manager of the Chase Sapphire Credit Card Portfolio. So Marlita, if you're ready.
I'm ready. Thank you, Will. Good evening, everyone. I wish I'll get to see some of you soon in the breakout rooms, but it's tough to follow Ed. But as Ed mentioned, we spend a lot of time working together. He's one of my favorite people in the firm. So, and if you look at our backgrounds, no, we're not all the same. We don't all have the same background. Ed and I happen to have the same background with engineering degrees and MBAs from Harvard Business School. I've been at Chase for 5 years. And in terms of like my path to Chase, I've been in financial services for over 20 years. So I was at a previous competitor to Chase prior to, American Express for 14 years before coming over to Chase. I've held a variety of roles. I always like to joke, I've done everything you could possibly do with a piece of plastic or metal to market it. I've worked on our consumer card businesses, our small business card businesses, our corporate payments businesses, our prepaid card businesses. And I was ready to do something new. And I came over to Chase a little over 5 years ago, JP Morgan Chase, actually. I started on the JP Morgan side of the business in our private bank. I was the global head of digital marketing and content for that business for about 2.5 years. And I truly enjoyed it. It was a different space, financial, wealth management, financial services, and then came back home, what I call home, to card about 2.5 years ago, where I became the general manager of Sapphire. And what does a general manager do? It really encapsulates a lot of the functions and roles that Ed previewed in his opening remarks. So I manage our Sapphire Preferred, Sapphire Reserve, our JP Morgan Reserve, our premium card portfolios at Chase. And in this role, I have accountability for our P&L. And then I do everything end to end for that portfolio, thinking about our customers end to end, who the type of customers we acquire into the portfolio, how do we keep them engaged and retained through marketing? How do I make sure the product is always competitive? So developing the value proposition, new product development. Sometimes there's a space in the market that we have to grab, and that necessitates a new product. Digital marketing, customer experience, strategic partnerships. And most recently, I also am managing our new proprietary airport lounge business. So there is no shortage of things to keep me busy and excited on a day-to-day basis. And I love what I do.
Awesome. So if you allow me, I'd like to ask a couple of follow-up questions.
Sure.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from New York.
From New York.
So
Okay.
I haven't gone far. New York, I'm not based in Delaware. A lot of my team is in Delaware. I do have a team in New York as well, but born and raised in New York, born in Queens, raised in Long Island, live in Long Island today.
So my next question is, what made you decide when you started working at Chase, like when you accepted an offer, what made you decide to join Chase? Take us through that decision-making process.
Yeah. So, I was happy where I was, quite frankly, but I felt like I wanted a new challenge. Again, people are always the biggest thing. It's hardest to leave. It was the stickiest thing about a place where you have a career or work. I knew I could do bigger things, and I wanted to do bigger things. And actually, someone from actually it was Valerie from Advancing Black Pathways, our leaders. It was called Advancing Black Leaders, and they had reached out to me via LinkedIn and said that I saw your profile. I think you would be an excellent person. We'd love to have you consider us. It was a non-committal type of meeting. It was like, we don't have a job. It's just come meet some people. I was coming in at a senior level, and so it's even more important to me that the culture, right? So it wasn't just about what I'm going to be doing. Is am I going to be able to thrive and be excited and passionate and happy here? And I met a variety of people in different lines of business and really probed them about what it's like to work at JP Morgan Chase. What do they like? What do they don't like? What they don't like? And then when I felt really good about the environment, then I double clicked on, okay, well, what are the opportunities? What could I be doing? Are they in line with what I really want to do and where I think I can add a lot of value and grow? And the stars aligned, those two came together. And I made the decision to make the leap, and it was into a role that I had never done before. I have a lot of digital experience, but I had never worked in wealth management, which is a totally different type of business. And so I was really excited about that challenge to work in a new line of business and help it grow.
Awesome. Exactly what I was hoping to get. So let me ask you this final question before we introduce our next panelist. And that is, when you think about the business that you manage there at Chase, what comes to mind when you think of where you need to grow from a talent perspective? What types of folks are you looking to bring onto your team?
So I'll pull from this. When I joined Chase and I started as the GM of Sapphire, I addressed the team and basically told them, this is what I usually tell any team, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for thought partners. There's an expectation of a certain amount of smarts. You've gone to school. I expect you to be smart, right? It's how do you apply those smarts? When I say thought partner, that really is person who's passionate, who's inquisitive, who's going to interrogate things and get to a good answer. I always preach it's important to have conviction around what you believe. So I always request that any of my teammates come to me with conviction around their ideas and get me to conviction. Because once we have conviction, I say it's just a foregone conclusion what it will happen, right? Because I won't stop until it does. And I won't let you stop until it does. So, but it's important to have courage, right? And to believe in something and to fight for it. And when courage also means sticking up for your colleagues, doing right by the customer. So those are the core things that are really important to me when I'm looking for candidates for team members.
Awesome. So Marlita, we'll engage you a bit more in our panel discussion, but let me thank you for being one of our panelists.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Marlita. Okay, so let me introduce our next panelist, who is David Tinsley, Executive Director of Engagement and Event Marketing for Chase Inc. So David, if you're ready.
Absolutely. Thanks, Will. And a little bit of a different background than Marlita and Ed, so I'll give a little bit back story about my background. From Tampa, Florida. My whole family's from Tampa. I'll start there. And I navigated up to the Northeast to play football at the University of Delaware and study there. I should probably flip those around one day. I came up to the Northeast to study at the University of Delaware and happened to play football, but love the experience, love the Northeast, and ultimately my wife is from the Northeast. So we were camped out here in this Delaware area, but I've been at Chase for about 5 years now. Before joining Chase, a little bit different background again than Marlita and Ed, but I did not have a background in financial services. I'm first generation in my family to go to school, so I didn't really know a lot about kind of the industry, the financial industry. So I was actually at a retailer, not in the Northeast, called QVC, kind of like Home Shopping Network, but I was in their credit card division there, and honestly, I wanted to sponsor like pots and pans and really go in that direction. But they said, trust us, like we have this credit card business, like you're going to love it. It's going to be an awesome experience. And for whatever reason, I trusted them a little bit ago and learned so much, but ultimately came to Chase 5 years ago through the Chase Associate Program that really helped me kind of like land a plan on like what I'm truly interested in. So the Chase Associate Program allows us to rotate around the bank, really tried a lot of different experiences. I know Ed talked a little bit about mobility, but my story at Chase has been all about kind of mobility and trying different areas of around the bank to truly learn where I want to lean in. So I've done in 5 years, I've been in customer experience and worked with a partner like Expedia. I've been in the digital side of the house with supporting our partner Apple with Apple Pay strategy and how we should be investing and what does marketing look like for the two of us. And then ultimately I came to the branded card side of the house and was focused on branding and event marketing. But I did that for a short stint and had an awesome manager. And I know Ed talked about the people here at Chase and having like the right advocates and the right managers are just so important. And my manager said, hey, like we want to make sure that you are driving a portfolio. Your aspirations is to lead a business one day. So let's make sure we put you in the right position to be successful. So I ultimately started leading our engagement strategy in the portfolio. And that means like as soon as you have your credit card in your wallet, you've been approved, or that plastic, and you're carrying it with you. How do we develop the right marketing, the right engagement activities to make sure that you're always going to pick that piece of plastic for your everyday purchases? So I've been in that role in this space for about 3 years, and small business is tremendous. Like the growth in this area of the business has been quick and swift, and with that, I've been trusted and have the kind of the keys to the car to continue to grow and expand my platform. So I went from that space to now today leading all of engagement marketing. So truly end to end, from the time that you are approved all the way through like even retention strategies to make sure that, again, like maybe you're about to change your mind or make a new decision. How do we just keep you into the portfolio, all the way to kind of the fun event marketing for small business owners and going out and making sure that we meet business owners where they are. So that could be a 10,000 person event sponsored by more like business centric vendors, like think of like Indeed or HubSpot, and going out and making sure that they're aware of our products and what we have to offer from our Chase Inc. Business suite of products. So it feels like it's like I've blinked and it's been 5 years, but it's been a great journey, and looking forward to engaging with everybody here tonight. So thanks for having me.
Awesome, David. So let me ask you one follow-up question. So what keeps you at Chase, right? So I've been asking everyone what they like most, and I'm hearing a reoccurring theme of the people. But what keeps you at Chase?
Yeah, for me, I'm naturally curious. And for me, like at Chase, you can have like 4 or 5 different careers and not have to move your parking spot. So I've been here and I'm like super, I mentioned a little bit about like being in event marketing and being in portfolio marketing now, or engagement marketing, and just being able to always, as soon as I like feel like I know something or I feel like I'm becoming an expert, being able to go down the hall and just say, hey, like what's the next challenge I can tackle? Has been awesome for me. So I'm always curious. I'm always learning. I'm always kind of digging in. So what keeps me at Chase is kind of always like running towards the next challenge. And obviously Ed hit on the people. Like I come in, we spend so much time here. Like it starts with the people. So so that's kind of square one for me for sure.
Awesome, awesome. So David, let me thank you for being one of our panelists. And if you'll hold on, we'll engage a bit more for our panel discussion. All right, so with that, let me introduce our next panelist, who is Tonya Jenkins, Vice President, Program Manager, Business Transformation. So Tonya, if you're ready.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tonya Jenkins, and I am excited to connect with you all. I am born, bred, and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, undergrad at University of South Carolina, and did an executive MBA at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. I've been in financial services for a little over 20 years, and having spent the last 5 years at Chase. Prior to, did a significant stint over at Citibank on the cash management side of the house. During my tenure at Chase, I've spent 2 years in our asset and wealth management division, where I worked with a group of project managers, and we were responsible for more of our tax compliance and regulatory initiatives around Latin America. Most recently, I transitioned over to our community and consumer bank, where I've been supporting a lot of strategic transformation initiatives And when we think about transformation initiatives, think of partner acquisitions. I've been instrumental in helping with our Lyft and DoorDash partnership. In addition, we think about platform migrations. We acquired a partner, Loyalty, so did a lot of work with that particular team. And most recently, I've been working with our Amazon team on building out new capabilities for that particular partner. What I love most about what I do as a program manager is everyday changes, always new opportunities to really engage across the different lines of business and with the various functional partners. In addition to my day-to-day job, I'm also deeply engaged in a number of DE&I initiatives. One such as the BOLD organization, which is a Black organization for leadership development, where I do a lot of advisory work for our networking pillars, as well as our Women on the Move. So excited to be here, excited to learn more about you all and share some of my key insights that may be helpful as you think about your journey at Chase.
So if I can follow up with a quick couple of questions.
Yes.
Where are you from originally?
Charleston, South Carolina.
And how did you get recruited into Chase?
So actually, I came, when I think about Chase, I started at Citibank, which was a competitor, and did a number of years there. And one of the things that I joke about in Delaware is that we're all recycled bankers, just because of all the different institutions. And I've always heard about Chase and always had this curiosity and really wanted to do something different. So I came over for an interview super day. I think Marlita mentioned there wasn't a specific role per se, but an opportunity for me to learn about the different businesses and functions, similar to what we're doing tonight. And that was my segue into the organization.
Awesome, awesome. So we're super excited to have you all as our panelists. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start our panel discussion. So I'm going to take down my slides so we can focus on the video feed from our panelists. And then I have prepared some questions that I like to ask each of you. And so to our candidates, right? To our candidates, after our panel discussion, you all will be able to engage a little bit more in our breakout session. So I'll explain how that's going to work after our panel discussion. But for our panel discussion, I prepared some questions that I like to ask our panelists on your behalf, right? So these are questions to help you get a better idea of our panelists and also, you know, life at Chase and the culture. You know, so just to give you a better idea as you go into those breakout sessions to ask your own questions. All right. So I'm going to circle back to Marlita with our first question. And so if we look at, you know, tell us like what you were doing in your life and career maybe 10 years ago, and what advice you would given yourself back then to lead you up to where you want to be today.
I think I'm going to start to date myself. So I'm about to hit 20 years post MBA. I'm actually going to my reunion this weekend. So 10 years ago, I was 10 years post MBA. I was working at American Express. Actually, I just recently been promoted to vice president, senior management, in a new line of business with a new team, with a totally new remit. And I remember what I was feeling about that point in time. I was super excited for the promotion, but then super nervous and doubting of myself as to, could I rise to the challenge? Is there more things I don't know than I do know? So as I think about where I was sitting in that point in time, and what I would tell myself now is, you know, I think I had the humility thing down pat, but I needed the confidence, a little bit more confidence. And they do go hand in hand, right? Because, you know, before pride goes the fall, right? But so you do need the humility to know you do not know everything, and that there's always so much more to learn from your peers, your colleagues, your team. And you should be open to doing that. But the confidence to actually acknowledge that you do know some things. You know a lot of things. You're where you are because you belong where you are. You've earned where you are. And you need to lean into that. You need to kill the noises in your head that tell you you're not good enough or that people are judging you, and move forward and think of yourself as an opportunity to lead and set an example. I always say, like, ask the question that everyone is thinking but afraid to say, and ask. Say it. And the importance, I mentioned this before, and you asked about what I look for in team members. You know, as a leader, you really need to develop the conviction and a point of view. I think it's so important. Like, you need to have a vision. You need to have a point of view as to where the business should be going, what you should be doing. So practice making decisions, practice leaning into a point of view and advocating for that. That's how you build your brand. That's how you build followership. And that's how you progress in your career. So that's my reflections about 10 years ago.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that insight, Marlita. So let me next go to David. So I've got a question I prepared for you, and that's around Chase constantly talking about being customer obsessed. So what does it mean to be customer obsessed at Chase? And then how does that boil down into things that you have to do in your job to show that customer obsession?
Yeah, absolutely. Two parts. So the first part about like what does it mean to be customer obsessed? So I talked about my role a little bit, and it really starts like at the beginning of the customer journey. So as soon as you're approved and you get the plastic in your pocket, then there's like we talk about the first 90 days being so critical. After 90 days, like the next segment of days, call it like 91 through 80, like truly like as the customer starts to get like settled in their journey, and really like finalizing some of their habits, like making sure that we're along with them. And like, as I think about being customer obsessed, and I'll pause there, but as that customer continues through their journey, like each moment is so important, like their first redemption, their first time they have to make a payment, the first time that they add their daughter or their son to our products so they can use them as well. So for us, like being customer obsessed means like throughout every part of the customer journey, like thinking about what the customer is like physically going to feel, what are they going to be thinking, and ultimately what do we want them to do. So being so intentional about like every single decision that we make and how it impacts the customer. So like not like that's kind of where it starts and starts for me personally, and how we start to bring that to life. I'll kind of give a specific example for me in small business too. So first being pre-COVID, like being a small business was like amazing because we had so much access to our customers. I would spend every time we wanted to make a change in digital in the application, or we wanted to make a change or get feedback on email, our customer experience, I would literally go up to Brooklyn. I remember sitting inside the place of business of a business owner who had like an olive oil business and a great multi-million-dollar business on paper, but just talking about him, the way that he collected his finances and submitted his expenses was still on like pen and paper. So like we were developing super advanced solutions, and he was still like really kind of on step 1 and 2. So like being able to take a step back, understand what the customers need, and like truly get feedback from the customers is like really powerful in small business. And then bringing it closer to home for myself. My mother's a small business owner. My mother in Florida has an assisted living facility. So as I'm developing marketing creative, marketing strategies, I'm asking myself, like, my mother's an expert in nursing and healthcare, but she doesn't need to spend all of her time focused on what does this APR mean? What does this rewards campaign mean? So how do we make it super simple for my mother, for my grandmother, and ultimately for those business owners in our portfolio?
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that insight, David. Okay, so next question is for Tonya. What advice can you offer candidates interviewing with Chase to maximize their chances of being hired?
I would say one piece of advice is lead with authenticity. I think sometimes we over prepare and over analyze and overthink what we should say or shouldn't say during interviews. And I think it's important to just be you. Think about interviewing as a two-way street. So while managers are looking for certain skills and attributes in candidates also should be looking at managers and understanding leadership style. What is the culture of the team? What does the role entail, and how can I grow and develop in those particular roles? So really, being yourself, leading with authenticity. And secondarily, I would also say, think about transferable skills. A lot of times we look at a job description and we think that we have to check every box or we don't qualify. And the reality is we really need to be in position to talk about how we can translate what we've done and how that correlates to the role that we desire, and just being able to articulate that to a hiring manager.
Awesome. And I want to pose a follow-up question to Marlita and David to add on to that, right? So our candidates are here. They want to learn about Chase. They want to maximize their opportunities and potentially land an interview and be hired. So to Marlita and then David, and I'll start with Marlita. If you think back to when you interviewed at Chase, what is it about your interview that you think stood out that got you that offer?
Dazzling personality, no doubt. I hopefully followed the tips that Tanya just gave all of you. I definitely believe in being myself, right? So what I am at home is what I am here. I'm the same person. So that makes it easy for me, and it frees up my mind and my spirit for the work.
Yep.
Right? Otherwise it could be quite distracting for you. Secondly, I asked a lot of questions. I did some homework too, right? Like, so I mentioned before, I got hired into the private bank. I'd never worked. I didn't even really know what a private bank was, quite frankly, when I was asked to come interview for this job. So I had to do a little bit of research, and I had to give a bit of my perspective, which is like, why does no one really know what a private bank is? Why is it so difficult? And why, when I went on the website, I didn't find a lot of information, especially since I was being hired for a digital role, right? So I demonstrated that I did a little bit of homework and had a point of view right away. Not that you need to come in and be like, this is how you fix X, Y, and Z, right? That could be a landmine for you and presumptuous. But it was more like an interest in understanding why we got to where we are. And I asked a lot of questions about the team, how decisions are made, what the strategy is, and then also in light of the transferable skills, talked about where I thought I could be of value to the team, what I was excited to dig into, and where what my plan would be, what my first 30, 60, 90 days would be. And not so much, I didn't present a formal 30, 60, 90 day plan before everybody goes out and does a PowerPoint. I didn't do that. I just talked about, how it approached the work, and knowing that I was coming in at a senior level, right? The relationships and how to build credibility. So it was really about relationships too, and how I would foster those and set us on the path to transformation, which was what the remit was.
Awesome. So David, if you think back to your interview, what is it that you think stood out in your interview that landed you the offer?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a lot of the very similar themes to Marlita. Like I would say for me, like it was all about like starting with like I didn't have the financial services background. Like I knew what I knew. Like I knew I was coming from the retailer. I had like really great experience in more of the product space. But really, like as we were going through interviews and having those conversations, I'm always talking about like structured thinking. Like how do you just like talk about like you have an idea and you brought it to life, or you had an idea and maybe the strategy that you had did not come to life, but like here's how we could have made it better. So I didn't know a ton about about Chase or about like our CCB. I was like, what is CCB? Like what is this acronym that's everywhere for this program that I'm applying to? But I did like similar to Marley, I did a little bit of research. I know a little bit about cards and enough to be dangerous. And like as we started to have those conversations, presented my thoughts in just like really a structured fashion, and ultimately just they try to be me. They try to be authentically who I am. Like I think like on the outside you would think that like Chase is like this bank. Like I know Ed mentioned like one of the largest banks in the U.S. and 50% of households. But like beyond that, like I'm David as a person, and I have my own set of experiences, and like this is how my set of experiences and my structured thinking can kind of add value to you in the role. So that's kind of how I came through, and hopefully what I would hope what landed me the position.
Awesome. So let me circle back to Tanya with this next question, and that is around the employee culture and work environment at Chase. So I guess it can be a two-part question. How would you describe the employee culture and work environment at Chase? And what is it that you like most for you personally about that employee culture and work environment?
Yeah. So when I think about the employee culture and environment, I would say sense of belonging. One of the things that I talk to friends and family about sometimes is the people at Chase, they feel human. Right. I've been in organizations where everyone felt like a number, or you were just that next task or deliverable. But I feel like Chase is really a place where people can be seen. It's a place where people can grow, they can develop. And for lack of better words, they can find their tribe. Who are the folks that can support you and build you and pour into you, and you can do those same things. So just being in an environment where everyone is open and really feeling somewhat like family is one of the things that I would describe it, and one of the things that I also love and attracts me, and also keeps me here. We heard Ed talk about the people. I can't underscore that. Like, the people are what makes a difference at the end of the day.
Awesome, awesome. Appreciate that insight. Okay, so let's, I got another question for Marlita, and that is around moving around within the company, right? So how difficult or easy is it to move around in the company?
It's not difficult at all. I think some people are intimidated by the idea of, I've spent time in one place, I've built a reputation, I know people, I know how this place works, I know the politics, I know the business strategy, and now I need to uproot. So it's almost, it's as easy as you want it to be, right? If you think it's too insurmountable, then you'll create a whole bunch of barriers to doing it. That said, it does require a little effort on your part. Jobs are posted on the, for everyone to see, jobs that are available. And when you've been in a role for a bit of time, it's always good to look around and see what's open. Talk to your colleagues. What are they doing? What are they enjoying? If you see something, an article on the intranet, or you see something presented in Investor Day, or and you're intrigued, start to find out, well, who works on that, and you can have a conversation. Back to the people, our culture is to, it's quite often someone will reach out. I was recommended that I talk to you. I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. It doesn't have to be, you have to hire me. It's more like, can we have a conversation? It is the expectation that we do that for each other, right? That we willingly share our information and give of ourselves to help people have a great career in this firm. So it is not difficult. But as with anything, right, it takes a little bit of effort and time, right? So you want to network, you want to know what's out there. And, in some instances, you build such a great brand, you're tapped on the shoulder and presented new opportunities. So it works both ways. There is a push and a pull. But that's I think David mentioned it, like, you could have the same parking spot, but have many different careers, right? And so one of the things I love about the firm, and when people ask me, I was like, I feel like anything can happen here. We have a ton of resources. We have a bias to action, as Ed said, right? And so we see an opportunity, we go after it, and we create opportunities where ones don't exist. And that gives many of us, an opportunity to stretch ourselves in ways we never thought possible.
Awesome, thanks, Marlita. So this last question, I'm going to open it up to everyone to just think, and I'm going to default it to David. But if Marlita or Tanya, if you have a story that you like to share related to this question, feel free to do that, because like I said, we've got about 5 minutes left, and then we're gonna discuss going into the breakout sessions. But that question is, are there any scenarios at work there at Chase where you've seen the benefits of Chase's diversity efforts and outreach, or their ERGs or employee resource groups there within Chase? So I'll just default this question to David, but I believe, Marlita, you've already mentioned one, obviously, how you had that first conversation with folks at Chase. But any stories around you seeing the results of Chase's diversity outreach and efforts?
Yeah, like, I think the firm has leaned in and said it just how important DE&I is to us, like, across the board, from top down, from the top with our $30 billion racial equity commitment, but even more at a local level as we think about our teams. Like, even like one example is from today. Like, I love the ownership from each team of taking hold of their culture and being able to drive DE&I efforts today. So I spent time with a group of folks earlier today who are starting their own initiatives to make sure that they can make their teams even more diverse and inclusive, and like helping them start to understand like what has been done from a CARD overall perspective, but then letting them ultimately take the reins, and they'll figure out like what's the best path to drive change for their specific group. So I think there's a real sense of ownership of kind of the DE&I from a team level. And I think every time I'm in those conversations are around our CARD mentor, our CARD programs and DE&I, for DE&I, like just being there, you start to see how folks are just taking the reins and starting to drive the journey for themselves. So that's super rewarding.
Awesome. Tanya or Marlita, if you'd like to add anything?
Yep, I'll just share a brief story about just serving on a BRG and what that does for individuals, because a lot of times we are heads down in our day-to-day business and line of business. And with the BRGs, it allows you to network and work with individuals that are outside of your day-to-day and really connect on different levels and see people in different lights. And I know that there was an individual about 2 years ago that was sitting in another line of business, and their role was being offshored, and they were looking for new opportunities and really struggling to figure out, what do I do next?
Okay.
You know, and it was because of the relationship that we built throughout these this BRG, that it's like, hey, let me tap into my network to see if there's someone else across, you know, across the fence that can help me as I look for that next. And being able to connect the dots for that individual, I thought that that was insurmountable, just an example of how you can leverage the relationships that you're building through these resource groups as you're looking to expand your career.
Awesome.
I'll just add quickly, because I know we're short on time, Will, but I would say where I've seen the effect is the proximity, right? Like the having the difficult conversations, because even we want everyone to be themselves, but still there are plenty of things people don't divulge in the workplace. And I think with the murder of George Floyd, there was an additional lens of like, well, we're saying these things, but are we really doing them in a deep way? Are we really having the hard conversation? Are we acknowledging the pain and that our maybe colleagues right next to you are going through? And then it's not just Black people, is now that we have Asian people or people with disability, or LGBTQ community, whatever it is. It's like it created a new level of awareness, of empathy, and a better way to deal with one another, right? And so that whole thing of why the people work, it only works if you're close enough to care, right? So so that's the walking the walk and talking the talk, right? Talk and talk, whatever the analogy is, but you got to do both. And that was hard work to do. And I'm not going to say it wasn't uncomfortable. And I'm not saying we still have more to do, but the fact that we're willing to not, say we're willing to lean in and have that uncomfortableness because it's the right thing to do was something that impressed me and left an impact on me.
Excellent. So let me be the first to thank you all for being, or basically sharing your time to be panelists during our event and sharing your insight, sharing your experiences. We really appreciate it. So on behalf of our candidates, let me thank you. Okay, thanks everyone. I really appreciate you all. Good luck to you all. Definitely follow up. Submit your resumes to us on HBCU Connect with the information on the screen. Then we'll send you a link to submit your information to Jason, saying that you're ready to potentially interview. Jason's going to follow up by looking over the resumes and aligning folks with hiring managers. And then hopefully some of you all will be brought in for interviews. So, all right. Good luck to you all. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you all and good evening. Take care.